I think for the average person, it can be challenging initially to accept the idea that something they've taken for granted, that almost has taken a place of being sacred, in our culture, may not actually produce the results that they've been promised, meaning, protect them from bone fracture. But I have found that almost invariably when people see the science, when they see the overwhelming evidence that cow's milk is loaded with toxins that are very dangerous, environmental contaminants, and actually powerful growth hormones and such that may elevate our risk for disease, that they become convinced that this really is not something that we should be consuming. It's always surprising to people to learn that when you look around the world, it's actually the very countries that are consuming the most milk and consuming the most calcium in their diet who have the highest risk of developing a bone fracture. So that would be like Australia, New Zealand, Canada, North America, the Western European nations. That's where we see all the bone disease. But the inverse is so as well. So populations in China, Japan, Thailand, Vietnam, people don't have milk mustaches. They're not obsessing over how much calcium they're eating. They eat very little dairy in general. That's where we see the greatest protection, the lowest risk of suffering a bone fracture. And men and women in their 7th and 8th decade of life have strong, robust bones. They're out, they're active, they're moving around, they're lifting up their grandchildren, they're working in fields and enjoying a healthy life. The relationship between just saturated fat consumption and risk of heart disease, hypertension, various cancers and such, cholesterol, the chemical contaminants in milk, all of these things have relationships and contribute to risk of a variety of conditions, whether it be neurological disease such as Parkinson's disease or prostate cancer, breast cancer, coronary artery disease. So when one looks at the totality of what they're being exposed to, whether it be the contaminants or whether it be the bovine growth hormone that's causing the IGF-1 levels to rise, the estrogen that is substantially elevated in these pregnant cows and then expressed in the milk, all of these things are contributing to our total risk of a variety of different health problems.